Hi, I'm Sarah from Lakeland, Minnesota, and I'd like to introduce you my entree using Philadelphia cream cheese. I was really excited about this competition. I actually submitted an appetizer that I really was passionate about. But I want to share a recipe that my husband inspired. He's a real meat and potatoes guy, so I have this lovely steak dinner for you. Give me 1 second. He likes the steak a little bit more done, so I'm going to throw this in the oven right now. And I'm going to show you what I've done. Alright. So what I'm going to do here is take a T-bone, and what I have right here is the best mashed potatoes ever. I take baby reds, 1 for each steak of medium size. Go ahead and boil it. Put in a half a teaspoon of sea salt. This is a recipe for 2. My husband and I, T-bones are expensive, so we want to just do this for him and I, a nice romantic dinner. So you take 2 potatoes, half a teaspoon of sea salt, and 6 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese, and blend it together. It's beautiful. So I'm going to stuff my steak with this right now. Got a little bit on there, no big deal, because it actually cooks very, very well. So I'm going to try and stand my T-bone up, and just stuff this here with this lovely mashed potato recipe. Alright, when you get it nice and stuffed, and it's okay if it spills out, I have right here some toothpicks in water, just so they don't burn when I'm cooking the steak. Go ahead and pinch it closed. And yes, mashed potatoes are going to spill out, but that's totally okay, and it's a little bit messy, but absolutely well worth it. And the nice thing is, all those potatoes that come out, they're going to actually crust like a twice-baked potato. It's fantastic. So don't even worry about this. I'm going to plug that with some toothpicks right there. It's beautiful. Now what you saw me do when I first started this is I actually put my husband's steak in. He likes it a little bit more done than I do. I actually really like my meat about as red as that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I've got some olive oil heating in the pan right there, just about a half of a tablespoon, and I'm going to take my steak and throw it in there, and I'm going to sear it. And that's going to sear for a few minutes. Right now I do have the oven set for 400 because part of the pan searing that I'm going to do with the steak is actually going to involve taking the steak, and then when I flip it I'm going to stick it in the oven to finish it up, which is actually going to give me the time to make a really awesome gravy. You know, you've got your steak, you've got your potatoes, mashed potatoes and gravy. It's fantastic. And like I said, I use 6 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese in this. So I'm actually going to use the last 2 tablespoons of this block of cream cheese. You got to use the whole block when you use it to make this awesome gravy that goes on top. So my steak's going to sit there for another minute or 2. Right now I'm going to go ahead and heat my pan. Light that up. I'm going to take 1 tablespoon of butter. So I'm going to make a nice roux. Put that in there. And I'm going to let that melt. Let it melt around a bit. It's going to take just a minute to melt. Just listen to that sizzle. It's awesome. This is going to be the best steak you will ever eat. It's going to make an awesome entree. It's the best thing that you'll ever have. So, like I said, this is going to sizzle here for a minute. I like mine rare. My husband likes his medium. So, you can do whatever you need to do. Sizzle, melt. Alright. So we got this melting nicely. Next thing I'm going to do, equal amounts of butter to flour. So I have 1 tablespoon of flour right here to go with my 1 tablespoon of butter. Mix that in. And I'm actually going to come over here and I'm going to brown this nicely. I'm going to let it make a nice little creamy little roux. Light brown, all melted in. Let it cook till it bubbles. Okay? Alright, so it's going to get all nice and creamy. It's going to look like butterscotch in the pan. But the nice thing is you got to wait until it gets that bubbly because it's going to make a nice thick sauce. An awesome gravy. Alright. So I've got this bubbling here. And now the next thing we're going to do, in my case, I'm going to flip the steak. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the oven because, like I said, I like my steaks nice and rare, and my husband's already in. I'm going to take this steak and flip it. I really recommend using a T-bone because you're going to slice a pocket in the meat so you hit the bone so you can stuff the potatoes in there. It makes a nice sealant. See how it's going on? Look at how beautiful that looks. I'm going to throw this in. There. Go ahead and turn this off and continue on my roux that is just bubbling nicely. If you look at this, it's all very bubbly. It's perfect consistency. Next thing we're going to do is finish up the rest of the sauce. So like I said, I like to use the whole block of Philadelphia cream cheese. I'm going to take this and put this in here along with a half a cup of milk. I actually use skim milk. It works just fine. And we're going to mix this up so it gets nice and thick and melty, and let it bubble. You really do want it to come to a bubble because you are making a gravy. It's going to be very, very, very rich and creamy and delicious. It's going to be the best gravy you've ever made. It's perfect. Mix this up here. And it becomes very, very thick and creamy. Alright. So we get this gravy all mixed up here. But you're going to want to season it a little bit. And the one thing that I like to use is right here I have a little bit of steak seasoning. I put half a teaspoon of steak seasoning and a quarter of a teaspoon of beef bouillon, and I'm just going to mix this in. Beef bouillon because you're using a steak, and the steak seasoning that I sprinkled on the steaks. You know, you can season your steak however, but mix in the same flavors and just stir it up. And it comes really, really nice and thick. Let me just look at this. It's like awesome. Get your flavors mixing in. It's the creamiest thing you're ever going to eat. It's absolutely magnificent. Alright, well now that I've got this stirred up, my steak is going to be done. And my husband's steak that I put in earlier is also going to be done. I'm going to turn off this heat right here. His is going to be done a little bit earlier than mine. So I'm going to go ahead and pull his out and plate it up for you. What I have right here is a nice salad on the side. I mean, you've got your meat, your potatoes, and you can sneak in your little greens right there. Lay that down. And look at your potatoes. They're nice and crusty, like a twice-baked potato right there. And then pour some gravy on. Spin a little bit of this gravy. Look how thick that is. It's just absolutely creamy and delicious. Put that on the steak. And you have the perfect meat and potatoes recipe. I really do love this. I love the salad next to it. I love the steak on it. It's an awesome flavor. And it's a nice twist on the meat and potatoes. And you can always stuff a lot of things, but a lot of times you don't stuff a steak. It is a wonderful recipe, and thank you for letting me share it with you.